Welcome back to the Netrunner World Championship. We're in San Francisco. My name is Andrej from the Metropolitan Grid. Super excited to be here. I go by he, him pronouns. I'm joined by Juniper. Juniper, how's it going?
It's going great. We've had a bunch of great games today.
It's been exciting. We're only 4 rounds in. So just so we reframe here, we have 204 players showing up. This is Saturday. This is day 1. And today we're playing 11 rounds of single-sided Swiss. So these are going to be 40-minute rounds. The software is going to tell you what side you play, and you just play a 40-minute round. You report that, and we're going to be inviting back some players for tomorrow.
Yep. Let's get started.
So we have 2 players today. This is actually a really fascinating matchup. Both these players are still undefeated. To make tomorrow, I think the guess is you need about 21 points. That is 7 wins, if that is the math I've done correctly. And on the left, we have a Ksodiya, currently undefeated, playing some Mirrormorph. This is an HB identity you don't see too much of. It has some really interesting text. It's a bit of a puzzle. Have you played a lot of Mirrormorph?
I've played it some. Okay. The thing is, usually Mirrormorph, I find, is... there was a while where it was really popular as a prison deck, using...
the sort of like medical, the front company going horizontal with... have you played some of these? That wants to get like the Trieste model biroids and make some like really hard central servers. That was something that's popular. Now, we'll find out if Ksodiya is on that. Mirrormorph's ability text, you want to do 3 different things in a row. And if you do that, you can get this 4th click that's either just going to be a credit or you can do another interesting thing. And I think this matchup is going to be fascinating. On the right, that's coldlava. Coldlava is playing Freedom. That's a really cool Freedom alt art. And so this is going to be using virus counters to trash cards. And it doesn't matter if those cards have trash costs. We're just trading those in and being destructive. Those just central accesses now have some real teeth to them.
We've seen a lot of Tag Me Freedoms decks. Yeah. That's the current big popular Freedom build that's going on around. I'm curious if the Freedom build's going to be something, but it'll probably be that, but maybe we'll see something spicy.
Yeah, Audrey, mind you, a huge breaker just last year, Worlds, a year ago exactly. So we'll see if we're on the same sort of like trash forward rig as people often called it. I'm not sure if we saw the mulligans here, but Freedom is going to start there with that Steel Skin Scarring, that sort of Anarch Diesel. And just to respect their own central servers, Mirrormorph getting some ice on the table. Price looking at 4 here. Now, one of these is to be installed. No strike funds. That's all the other prices. Now, this is interesting. Cookbooks often shows up as more of than a one-of in some of these decks, and it gives so much tempo to all those other viruses. They're going to be installed with a virus counter to start on top of whatever text they have. So Botchless is out here. We'll see if the imp comes down, whether you want to face check into this ice.
Well, no, Botchless didn't come down because chose the cookbook instead.
Yeah, totally.
I was actually curious because it means they can't get through. He can't go through any of the ice. Like, Botchless could get you through something really early, which could be applied pressure, but...
Strike fun. There's a Fermenter coming in supercharged there. That's a click for 6 credits next turn, and there's no way that Ksodiya can afford to purge.
That might explain the cookbook.
Yes.
It's just so powerful.
I think here we're going to try and like test the water a bit. We'll see what it takes for coldlava to do a face check to see exactly what sort of deck this is. We're going to see maybe assets, but...
You'll notice that Ksodiya is putting the clicks down on different cards.
Yeah.
That's to keep track of what is being used. Since Mirrormorph gives you an extra click if you do 3 different things, you put a click down on your deck to make sure you know that you drew, put a click down your credits to show that you took a credit, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that mapping, I've seen other folks do it before, but in Mirrormorph, as you said, it's like the most important. Yeah. Now, the easiest way to get Mirrormorph, there's a couple of these usual suspect cards. MCA Austerity Policy is a very important asset. That's both a win condition and a bit of a deterrent for the runner, robbing the clicks from them. But also just like kind of cool cards like Nano Etching Matrix. Any operations that install cards, I find to be very valuable in Mirrormorph because sometimes you want an operation. Installing cards is the hard thing to do more than once a turn to get Mirrormorph to fire. We're just setting up here. There's
We've got a crew.
And
interesting.
Solidarity Badge as well. So we might see it. Well, we're definitely going to see some ice destruction. And understanding that Solidarity Badge does get counters, even if you trash ice. It's not a card you're accessing. It's just any card.
So this might be more of a more traditional Freedom list, just running viruses, not doing the Tag Me stuff, just doing as many viruses as possible to get all those virus counters you can use to trash stuff.
Just Anarch Pressure. And there's the Nano Etching. It's a card that's giving an option. Now, it has 0 res cost, which means that Freedom can just walk in there and trash it for free, spending 0 virus counters. That does work. But if you do trash it, it's going to give Ksodiya here some extra money. It's always an interesting thing to see how long you can let this hit on the table, because that is such an easy way, a lot of times, for the corporation to generate money. It feels bad to give 2, but a lot of times it has to come down.
Especially with Mirrormorph, it basically just upgrades your get a credit for the last click to gain 2 credits for the last click.
So see if we get a face check here. Still no cards in archives. So if you're worried about things like Drafter, you can just get them in fire. But
Turtle, there we go. There's a breaker on the table.
So I'm assuming we're going to see Devil Charms. We're going to see Leeches, and they get the sort of like crew Hoge type build, but with some extra virus teeth. And I'm a big fan of that sort of. That's the sort of deck I know I was playing yesterday. And trashing ice, pushing yourself forward, getting those accesses, that imp-like ability can do a lot of damage to corporations if they can't get that ice rezzed and get that ice to survive.
It's important to note with Turtle that Turtle grows whenever you run on empty archives, or basically anything in archives. So if you want to just get a giant turtle to run through stuff, you can just hit archives over and over again.
Yeah,
which it looks like he did once.
Yes. Yeah, cookbook to start. We'll see here what the breakpoint is. A lot of times 3 is the breakpoint. It doesn't beat Gatekeeper, but it beats Drafter. I don't think Drafter's that bad here.
Well, there's also the crew, so that can potentially reduce it if need be.
Install remote server, then going for the draw. Sometimes you have to do these turns to try and get towards Mirrormorph. It looks like we did also hit the nano etching, so we'll see if we can get that 4th click. You see a bit into Ksodiya's hand. I think we see Charlotte's, which is a cool way to get that advance to work with Mirrormorph, to get some extra value from the ability. Sometimes the Mirrormorph decks, we've seen back in the day, like even punitive Counter-Strike is a win condition, playing a lot of 5-3s, but I don't think we've got any great information. Spin Doctor, gonna res just a draw there. Keep some cards in hand. Now we can discard, and hopefully if you can get him a virus in archives, I think you probably want it on the table sooner than later before you just throw it into the bin. I'd love to see more of the hand there. I think you see an MC Austerity policy. That's like a very powerful card, but Ksodiya needs a server to lock that down.
Yep, that's an MC Austerity project. Yeah. MC Austerity policy project?
I think it's policy.
Policy is like the key to a lot of Freedom Prison decks because it lets you do something to click every turn, make the runner lose a click, and then if you get to 3 hosted power counters, you just score out a 5-3 from hand, no problem, and they're ruined.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, also, like in Mirrormorph, you can do it with 2 power counters, because you can do like the place one, take one off, and then you get the Mirrormorph, because you do install free advance, 4 advance. Yeah. So it's a bit faster than most other decks, which is often why you find it in Mirrormorph.
It's also just good in Mirrormorph because that click gives you an extra click. That doesn't cost you an action. You can use that as your extra action if you've done 3 different things, and it can just be a free thing.
And we're here. We're popping the Fermenter for a lot of credits. I believe it was 10? So now, the question is if Cold Lava can get down a Devil Charm to get some of that destruction. More leeches would be good. Again, a lot of times these decks play classically like criminal aggression decks. The idea of I'm going to find your weakest server, I'm going to capitalize on that, I'm going to snowball those virus counters on both the turtle and the leech, and then I can run any server. Then it takes you time to purge, but if you purge, that's obviously a tempo loss, and you can go back and you can start rebuilding those viruses. Freedom's ability hasn't fired yet, so we're kind of just in that building period, seeing who can play a more efficient board game, but it's only a matter of time. Spin Doctor looks like it was used, and the agendas definitely have to be in hand. I think we see 1 Iqua and 1 Vitruvius.
Yeah.
Install. This tracking is really good for Mirrormorph. I think it helps a lot.
Then just taking a click. Oh, another Spin Doctor.
Is this Deja Vu? That's the exact same turn as last turn.
Yeah,
like identical. So
serious
pressure here.
Is he flooded?
He might be.
There's a number. I'm seeing a number of agendas in hand, but I'm not sure.
We see also another Spin Doctor there, so that might be the full suite. Now, Spin Doctor is not something you can easily keep on the table because, firstly, Freedom can trash it for free. That gets a Solidarity badge, but even if you don't trash it, you can just bounce it and farm Amakua counters, which is definitely not a thing you want to let the runner do. The second one, removed from game, just tucked under that playmat, so we should be only having 1 more recursion card, and getting rid of the recursion cards this early into a Freedom deck that wants to be trashing cards is probably not the most comfortable place here as a corporation. Raindrops.
Making a run with raindrops.
So here we can get through 4 Strength Ice with some cost. Again, there's Ahuacera's Crew, one of the new cards from the Liberation, Rebellion Without Rehearsal, excuse me, just has a really cool modal text, whether you want to take a tag to lower the strength, whether you want to just trash the ice, works with breakers, works with ice destruction, gives you a lot of possibilities here.
The one thing Cold Lava doesn't want to see is a Gatekeeper, because Gatekeeper is immediately 6 strength, and that's going to hurt. Yeah. It could be trashed later pretty easily with a crew, but it is extremely annoying right there.
Yeah,
no res, though.
Yeah, no res. Raindrops sometimes makes it a bit difficult, and maybe not wanting to spend money. I think Gatekeeper is really important in this matchup, right? Because, as you said, it comes in on 6 strength. But a lot of times, if you're on Amakua rig, you need to find those Gatekeepers before it's like, oh, there's an agenda, there's an austerity you have to deal with. Because once it's 0, you're getting through it no matter what purge happens. Coming down there, we know there's going to be more Botulises later down the line. I don't know if we're expecting also Banhar, but Anarch can put on a lot of pressure with these non-exactly icebreakers. Getting the Nano Etching trash is 2 credits, but it's also going to be a card draw for Cold Lava. And we're still building engines. I believe that's a Brawn just drawn in, a big 6 strength barrier.
Greasing the palms to get some credits while installing. That's a great card in MCA because it, or in a Mirrormorph, because it counts as an install, but it's just a operation. Installing that, I'm guessing installing that Brawn.
It might just be 2 ice push there with an advance.
Interesting.
Now I think we saw in the hands, this could be just Charlotte. Now, you never know if Mirrormorph is playing Seamless Launch. It can work well in certain turns, Seamless Advance, and I don't know what else you're doing to get that extra Mirrormorph. But moshing, throwing out Chisel, more ice destruction. I believe it was a Stargate. Did you see the second card?
No, I didn't. There was a
That's going to be draw 3, gain 3. coldlava looking for it again. Archives is wide open. There's a big chance here that coldlava wants to find a leech just to be able to rely on the Amakua. I'm not expecting that many other icebreakers. I think just a bit of ice destruction on Amakua on its own, and then the cruise, of course, can get you a lot of reach.
It really feels like coldlava can start pushing at some point. I'm wondering when it's going to start happening, when he's going to start running into R&D or running into HQ and just really pushing and stuff. Oh, Hermes, they're so
Great
good because that's an agenda. Oh, it's not an agenda. Okay.
It's a Charlotte. And this is a really cool way to make that advance action a bit more elegant with Mirrormorph, because that's sometimes a tricky one. A lot of times you just want to do advance, advance, advance on your turn, and then Mirrormorph doesn't really work there. I do think that's an MCA. Looks like we're not going to hit it on the table. Instead, just install, or sorry, advance Charlotte.
Interesting.
Trash, it's a click for 2 credits functionally, but might work elegantly with the rest of the Mirrormorph text. So MC is going to hit the table. I think we see there is still agendas in hand, and I do believe in on-sell some expensive, relatively high-strength ice that can be a surprise for Amakua.
And there's the MCA, and there's the advance. So if this gets up to, if ksodiya starts the turn with 2 counters on it,
that's it,
and has a 5/3 in hand, or any agenda in hand, he can instantly just score it out from hand. So if he hits that point, coldlava's in trouble. Right now it has 1 counter, so it'll be 2 more turns before we hit that point.
So the question is, like, are you worried about Pinhole? Archives is open. Can you res the ice? coldlava here also might be worried about Punitive. I feel like I just have a Punitive Raider sometimes when I'm playing against Mirrormorph, but hey, there's a leech. Going to come in with a virus counter with the cookbook, and this should give you the pressure to start just running Archives, filling this and saying, hey, you have to take a turn to purge. Otherwise, I'm breaking every single ice in the game for just subroutines.
Running on HQ.
We can break 5 strength ice if we want to expend too many resources. Just an Afshar.
Afshar. That is pretty good because it is a tax.
It is tax. It is low strength. Now, whether you want to crew this for a leech counter and take 2 credits, we'll remove that from the board. That will get an open HQ, and that is relatively attractive because otherwise you're breaking this for 3 credits every time. So looks like we're going to opt to just break it, or break 1 subroutine, lose 2 credits, and we might want to use our crew on something a bit more expensive like a Brawn.
I'm assuming waiting for something. What's probably another thing that's probably being considered here is coldlava saw the MCA go on the board, and he said, okay, there has to be an agenda in hand to score out with this, so I'm going to look for that.
Austerity on 2, austerity on 1, it almost always attracts pressure onto HQ. Now you can trash this.
Oh
it's
my
a lot
gosh,
of virus
he's using
counters.
all of his virus counters to trash it. Wow.
It's all about ice destruction here. Solidarity Badge, I do think, gets a counter. Amakua will not, so just deciding where to redistribute those virus counters. They can come off any installed cards. It doesn't have to be the same card. So anything that gets virus counters is good game. That is 6 virus counters to destroy an ice just in hand. That's like a really cool thing. Sometimes, like, if there's a botches on the table and it's not an ice you plan to res, you do want to overinstall it as a corporation because it just becomes that virus battery. And the more virus counters, the more pressure that coldlava can put on the table. Now they were going back, so actually deciding to trash that there. Just want to get a free server here and saying, I want to run HQ. I know you have 1 fewer ice in hand, and this, every time I run this, it could be a leech counter, it could be an Amakua counter. Hermes bounce can make the board a bit more uncomfortable as well.
And can look for those agendas that are being presumed to be in HQ.
Restore. That's a 1 coster, and you hate to see that if you're an ice destruction deck because you understand that MC Austerity is a bit of a Sisyphean task to trash it when it just comes back the next turn, but this is only 3 clicks for coldlava.
Right. Now we have 2 on the MCA. If this gets to 3, that's a score. Well, 3 and an agenda in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
And I think we know there's an Echo in there. There might still be a Vitruvius as well.
Yeah,
we
those
saw
are the
some cards
I
in
saw.
hand. Yeah.
I'm curious.
A Vitruvius with counters is kind of cool. Restore. This allows
Maybe
you
going
to
for an ice?
bring back ice. Yes, you have to reg it. It's going to be a 6 or technically a 7 credit on sell just on the table. Trashing that just to see it come back is kind of unfortunate. We'll see here if coldlava can get more copies of crew to trash that. 4 strength is kind of doable, but that is a pretty robust HQ ice.
Definitely annoying to see.
Now, this is the big turn to either pressure HQ, pressure the remote server. Saying on, I believe, so ksodiya might only be on, okay, actually, no, there's a lot of credits. That was covered by the banner there, but on, you're going to be able to res all that ice for sure.
Or potentially just sit and wait, let it fire,
and
then
Hermes.
get a Hermes and start trying to pressure R&D or something. Build up something so that next turn after the Hermes is fired, you do it. If it's, I believe, if a 5/3 is scored out of hand next turn,
there's no clicks left.
Yeah, he won't have any clicks, but if he scores a 3/2, he'll have enough clicks to put the whatever the Hermes bounces back down.
So he could greet it, you're right.
Yep.
You can score now, but it might be better to score later because that ice can come down. You can also take a turn, right? Like hit the MC Austerity, get some ice on the table, and say if you Hermes, there'll still be something there. If you're not aware, Hermes does only bounce unrezzed cards, so this obviously Austerity is safe, but that Oncel's not going anywhere.
Putting down a crew in his daily cast definitely indicates that he's just going to let this fire and see what happens and bounce something.
Let's see if Quesadilla transitions just to score out. Checking the ice on the table again. If you want to see one ice, always check every single ice so that your opponent doesn't know what actually is important and what are you thinking about. So that's a counter. And every turn this happens. Coldlava only has a 3-click turn.
Yeah,
when it comes to Byroids, that's kind of annoying, right? Oncel, Braun get harder to click through if you just want to send for that single axis.
And we're seeing ice on Archives to keep the turtle from getting bigger.
You might not have the influence from Mavirus. I think Mavirus stocks are pretty good right now.
He's not going to trigger it this turn.
Yep, just getting 2 credits, one from the Mirrormorph, one from the click. And we'll see here where Coldlava can put the pressure on a healthy 20 credits for the corporation with only 1 ice res. That can go fast. We've seen some influence spent on Avshar, so not sure what exactly that means for the deck, whether there's high influence pieces that you're not playing. But just drawing through and looking. Again, Freedom puts on a lot of pressure, but this game has been a bit more reserved. I think here you want, I'm not sure, ooh, Simul Chip.
Okay.
Now that can be pretty aggressive. If you want to pill out on the corporation's turn, if you produce a Bonchelist, that will come in functionally with 3 counters because start a turn trigger, also the cookbook. So that gets through most ice.
You can also get a ton of money with Fermenter if you need the money.
So I'm assuming we might be on a full play set of the Simul Chips. Outermost ice, that's a bronze, 6 strength, 6 cost, 3 subroutines. We know that there's at least an Avshar in Archives, but this thing's kind of hard to click. I think Coldlava might only have 1 click left here after the Austerity and after the Simul Chip install.
I think Coldlava has no clicks left.
Oh yeah, there's a chance.
Because only starting with 3 clicks.
Yeah, this might be install run. There might be another click in there. Maybe there's a steel skin. Now deciding here, your options are you can trash one of your installed programs. It looks like it's just going to fire. So that is, again, the Avshar that was destroyed. All this ice being destroyed, just coming back. The turns after cannot feel good for a deck that wants to clear the board of these horizontal cards.
Click one, we're going to pop this.
And we're off Austerity. What's interesting is there are actually a lot of turns where you want to click Austerity first click no matter what, just because you have extra clicks on your turn. I think here this is more to do with the ability to repair Hermes damage. But this is going to be 1, 2, 3. This is a bit awkward here because you can only take the credit. Ooh, losing a gatekeeper from hand. Just play on, obviously. Not much you can do about that. That's unfortunate. So we're getting a Mirrormorph credit there because you can't do another advance because you've already done that this turn. Now that card has a lot of clicks on it. It's spend a click to gain 4 clicks, which is really funny formatting.
So
you should be able just to score this out with a click left, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes the math gets a bit tricky if you don't pull out your power counters and start flipping them to track it. Yeah, the fingers are coming out. We're deep in Mirrormorph territory.
Once the Mirrormorph actually triggers the MC, at that point, when I'm playing, I'm usually just like, okay, do your thing.
Yes,
I don't understand this. Go ahead. You know how many clicks you have. I don't know.
Both players starting this out, yeah. So the question is whether you crack the first one for the click for the power counter. I don't think it happens. So we're going to use our counters here to make sure we have enough clicks left in the turn.
So I think we saw, okay, so we saw
crack, install
it's
advance.
Vitruvius.
Oh, that's a Luminal. We're just going to have a longer turn this turn.
2 more clicks.
Yeah, this is like 2 turns in here. So Luminal gives you a whole turn back, but you cannot score agendas. So this actually gives you a turn. You can do some wild stuff with Austerity where you can install the second Austerity, click that as well. And you can actually give the runner a 2-click turn potentially if you just keep like windmilling them through. But I think we have so many clicks left here. Hermes going to bounce the ice innermost on the remote server. We'll see whether or not we're going to push in here. We still haven't seen a Devil Charm. We know Chisels are alive and well too. Coldlava really needs to crack a central server here and start getting those Amaku counters.
2 clicks.
Mirrormorph also only is first, second, third. There's not like Wage Workers where you can fire it like multiple times on a really cheeky Luminal turn. Oh, just Purge. Love to see it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You got the
if
clicks.
You've got all those clicks, you might as well Purge.
Now, Coldlava there could have considered to use the Simul Chip to like trash the Leech, and you can technically refresh it, We do have at least one program in the bin, so you don't have to run into some no change in game state problems. But if you need to ever like hypercharge the Yamaku or hypercharge the Leech, you have ways to like cheat out extra counters. I think we're gonna get better value from it, but it's always an interesting consideration that end of turn trigger for the corporation. It's one of your best pseudo start of turn triggers.
I feel like Coldlava's really digging for another Botulus that they can put on HQ or something to start running.
Oh, raindrops.
Oh, raindrops.
No, you're totally right though. He just needs to get like one nice avenue in, and that's an MIC. Basically the exact same stats of Ansel.
Oh, that hurts. That's going to lose 2 clicks.
Yeah, that's really rough. Now, you are going to draw 3 full cards from this and get 3 credits back, so you are just at least trading those clicks for some sort of value. Yeah. Raindrops can get... that's a really good value on a raindrops. A lot of times you hit a brawn and forget the first end the run. The third one doesn't fire.
Well, it's really good value if you ignore the fact that you lost 2 clicks.
yeah, you just draw cards. So let's see here if we can get it. He's drawn a lot. I don't think there's that many cards left in the deck, and he spent his first couple turns just steal skin, price. We'll see here. He might have to discard now that he might not have that many clicks left. Throwing out a labor rights. And
probably because he has another labor rights somewhere.
Yeah.
And he can just shuffle that labor rights back. Labor rights lets you get things out of your bin, so if you play another labor rights, you can use it to get back a previous labor rights.
I saw a fraction of a corner of a card. I think he might have discarded a DJ Fenris.
Ooh.
Which at this point in the game, getting HQ, getting a Steve might not be possible, but at least, or forcing Quesadilla to spend some credits down to only 5. Oh, Hanse, back up to 10. Not too bad, discarding a card there. Drawing up, again, Mirrormorph. Sometimes the scheduling gets a bit awkward when you want to make sure you're doing 3 different things. We should have a Mirrormorph trigger here, potentially this turn.
The one nice thing about Mirrormorph, the one nice thing about playing against Mirrormorph is that it's not going to be, it's probably not going to be like fast advancing something out. It's probably not going to be scoring anything super fast. It usually sticks to the MCA stuff.
What I'm so excited is we haven't seen too much about it. With Battling with our rehearsal, you can do some weird stuff with Holoman and Mirrormorph.
Really?
Because that's such a cool way to get an extra click to advance, because the Holoman is a click,
that's
right?
True.
I think there might be, like, Restore Holoman technically works because the card didn't get installed from HQ. I don't know if it's going to be this deck, but there's some really cool stuff that you can do. And coldlava here is trying to figure out how to break through this, like, very good ice into this sort of ice destruction plan. I think we might have seen a Devil Charm by now if coldlava is playing a playset.
A Botulus gets, yep, there we go, because that gets 2 counters, so you can go through it now with spending 1 click, which is annoying, but it's very doable.
Yeah, not too bad. Especially if you trash a card, you're going to get that click back functionally by getting the Solidarity badge draw. coldlava here is hosting the program on his side of the table. That's a common trick to make sure you don't go over MU, which is something you definitely want to avoid at all levels of play. So we're just going to mark that with that very nice Botulus token. I believe that is a catch end.
Right now we're at 4 MU spent, and Hermes means that we have 5.
Yeah, these sort of decks, Knob Curry was banned out earlier this year. That was the virus-based console. And so just seeing where the splash comes in, whether you're going to play something like even a lily pad in these sort of Anarch Destruction decks is an option. And Simulchip here, after popping the Fermenter, we'll see what we get down here.
Fermenter, maybe?
Yeah, I honestly no.
Oh, a Stargate.
Oh, super aggressive here.
And then going to Stargate, because you can't lose the clicks now. All you have to do is break it to do that, because you're not losing any clicks. Because MIC says lose 2 clicks, but if you don't have any clicks to lose, those are empty subroutines.
Now MIC can be trashed to deny the Stargate, which at this point when it's Botulus, you kind of have an incentive to just get rid of it because it is a virus farm.
It is tempting, but if you don't have any ice in hand, you could be leaving R&D just open to next turn.
Which is not a great spot to be. There's a card in remote server at this point.
There we go, it's getting trashed.
That could be a Rashida, which might give you the card draw you need to repair HQ, but just putting a lot of effort into that turn just to basically trash 1 ice. I think in the hand we see us send a message, a Bass, and is that a virus? Oh, it might just actually be an old Eli. It's very fun getting thrown out.
I think that might be an alt Spin Doctor.
Oh, that'd be cool too.
Because he was using alts for Spin Doctors.
Click 1, it is draw. I do think we just found an ice there.
Yep, there we go. That's got to hurt so much to see. You go through all that work to trash that, and you get to... And another ice.
2 ice. I think that came off the top 2. So we'll see here, just trying to get some sort of, ability to touch cards, to get those Amakus, to get those leech counters. Doctor, you're going to come down to supply some card draw. That is 6 card draw across what's going to be 3 clicks. Just trying to figure this out. We've seen, what, 2 Botchas so far? I think that's the second. Or no, maybe that was Simulchip back, so there's at least 1.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're on a Banhar deck. We might not have the cards to support it, but sometimes you just need to get that 1 break in. I would love to see an alarm clock.
There's the Devil Charm, so that can get into anywhere, and it can trash something with a... And there's a second crew.
Yeah.
So This could be used to start hitting R&D HQ a bunch. One thing that could be done here potentially, if you start your run on HQ, you can then hit HQ like 4 times.
Yep.
Build up a bunch of leech counters, build up a bunch of turtle counters.
It's a hedge fund.
Force the corp to maybe purge if they're going to try and deal with it.
ksodiya is in a tricky spot here, understanding that if you don't get a second ice on HQ, there's no way that's not coming down. There are agendas in hand, one of them being to send a message. Maybe you don't mind if that gets scored, but the remote server just has a card and it's been there for a couple turns. You can't tell what it is. Not a Rashida.
It could be a Mavirus.
It could just be a Mavirus.
If it's a
That'd be very well
Mavirus,
placed.
that's very rough because then you spend all that time building up the counters and then you just lose them all so fast.
Botcha's coming down. Let's see what we mark. coldlava looks like wants to lean on the Stargate.
Maybe trying to, okay, so trying to Stargate instead.
Yep. Now that is an Eli. Okay, so that's an old school Eli. Those were really hard to get. ksodiya might have been playing for a quite long time. And this just is good enough numbers. Back in the day, some of the best numbers you could ask for one influence, followed by another MIC. That is some hard ice to deal with. We might just see this get Devil Charmed into to disappearing with the Aquaceres crew for 2 credits and removed from game.
This will get Devil Charmed because I don't think coldlava wants to think about it being used for its abilities. Since right now it can't be used for its abilities since you have 2 clicks. Coldlava just wants to make sure that can't fire. And now the Eli's pretty easy to deal with.
Yeah.
All right.
Drafter, Restore into Holloman. So we actually might see some Holloman shenanigans, but these are all difficult cards to deal with. Leech counter, and also I think we should have a Solidarity Badge trigger here, but Restore means something is coming back. Holloman's a win condition, but on the top of Drafter, that's going to hit any server that you're pressuring. At least here with the Restore, you force the res.
I think you might try and trash the... Oh, going for the Drafter. Interesting, but... Won't you just get it back with a Restore? I guess it forces you to spend the Restore on that instead of on an MCA or a Hollow
Another
Man
win
or
condition.
Something, yeah.
So see how the pressure goes in. At this point in the game, we've only seen one agenda. We've seen 2 Spin Doctors many turns ago, but at this point, ksodiya is definitely holding agendas in hand. And with the camera from above, we can tell it. We'll see if coldlava just wants to lean on the Stargate, or eventually whether he'll end up pressuring HQ. There's a chance sometimes when you start locking R&D, as we call it with Stargate, don't feel like you have to run HQ, but there has to be points in there.
There's another Simul chip, which can get back almost anything.
Hanse to start too.
To get more money.
Could be a Spin Doctor remote server, but ksodiya has been drawing with the basic action. Sometimes that's not too hard to do with Mirrormorph. And now I think we're deciding what to restore. Anytime you see, looking at archives, the corporation is definitely considering some amount of recursion to be well placed. And so here, Austerities can come back in. The remote server could just be a Mana Garment, a defensive upgrade, waiting for that win condition, that MC Austerity policy. Being only on 3 clicks makes it tricky, but Stargate off the top, we'll see 3 fresh cards. You can click through one of the Botulists, or one of the, Eli subroutines, Botulus the second. And it looks like card on the remote server. We are pretty sure that could be Holloman. For only 8 credits, ksodiya can be on game point, scoring out of 5-3.
Yep.
Botulus Leech ticking up. I do think coldlava might be missing a Solidarity Badge trigger here from the trash last turn. And we're just going in there, starting with the Stargate, seeing 3 fresh cards.
Yep. Breaking the other Eli subroutine just through...
Oh, no agendas, just ice and a defensive upgrade. 3 cost, 3 strength to both of them. That's a magnet hitting the bin. Back on top, and the order is no.
Absolutely need to get rid of the magnet because of the Botulus. You want to keep that.
Yeah, that's a rough one. And there's Devil Charm.
There's Devil Charm, so you can trash one more thing. I think coldlava might just be saying, I'm just going to Stargate you, I'm going to hit HQ, and I'm going to make sure you can't draw the agenda you need to win with Hollow Man.
If Corp can get to 5 points, that might be enough, but we are going for the pinhole. Just getting rid of HQ Ice as well.
Oh, getting rid of HQ Ice to pinhole what's in the servers. Interesting.
We believe that new card should be the Holloman. It is 2 trash costs. That is a brand new alt art and cash hand they put out. Just at Worlds. You can grab that at the art station if you'd like to. That's 2 trash costs. Very important. Again, we can use Freedom as well. 2 virus counters is technically cheaper. But now we have an open server, so there are some assumptions here. Firstly, is there an agenda in the remote server? We know there's a drafter coming up too. So it shouldn't be too hard for ksodiya to get an ice on HQ. That is going to force coldlava to figure out a creative way to deal with it. We still have a Simul chip.
It's interesting how much pressure coldlava is constantly applying, because I'm used to when I see a turtle deck or something, it's spending some time building up counters until it has just a wave of counters. But coldlava's just been pushing at all times.
Yeah.
Every single moment, going to trash ice and running on servers, and never just spending a bunch of time hitting servers, but going for Stargates and everything.
Yeah, that's the problem with Stargates. You don't get Amaku counters. You do still get the Leech, but you're not touching cards.
Is that card installed on R&D.
Must be the Managarm. And stargating into a Managarm can be pretty tricky because you can't touch the Managarm, which means that you're either paying the 2 clicks or the 5 credits, and the Managarm will stay here. So that was known at the top of the deck. Now, if you want to double click this, you are still going to see 3 cards. Most Spin Doctors out. Vitruvius into a Subliminal into a Spin Doctor. That's a final Spin Doctor. So Vitruvius full art. That's from the World Champ deck from, ooh, I can't say exactly what, maybe 2015, 2016. And that's going to hit the bin. That's the first agenda that I think coldlava has seen.
I think I have one of those alt arts. I would just pick them up from stores whenever I saw a World
Yeah,
Champs deck.
they're good.
If you're ever out at a store and you see a World Champs deck at a store, buy it. Because even if the cards aren't legal, they're really hard to find nowadays, and they're so cool. Hollow Man getting red.
So this is cool. Hollow Man cares about cards being installed for HQ. Restore gets around that. You can score out a 4-2 here. You actually do a lot. There's a chance with Mirrormorph you can fast advance a 5-3 from this remote server.
3 advance. If that's been a 5-3 this whole time,
it might have been. It was
waiting.
safer there. I think it might be the send a message. It's much safer in the remote server than an HQ behind a single ice. So okay, so this is tricky because we've done
Restore.
Operation, we've done Hollow Man. If you do advance, you can't do another advance. You have to do something different. So here, if you have a seamless launch, that won't exactly work. You'll score it, but I guess you can't Mirrormorph. I don't know what the goal here is. I think you do want to get the points. But now Quesadilla's thinking.
I think that's what Quesadilla's thinking about right now is realizing that he can't score it and trying to figure out how to best protect it.
Now best protected behind the Brawn with no Amakusa counters, no Cruise, no Devil Charms. Seems pretty good. Just last click draw. So that will be scored on next turn. If it's a Vitruvius, you're going to see a lot of counters here. And a Spin Doctor on the table now, making that Stargate just a lot of effort just to see cards and move them into different places. Not your score area, though.
I assume you start by running the Spin Doctor.
You kind of have to.
Yeah, especially because with Freedom, you get to trash it for free, so they have to remove it from the game.
No matter what, yeah, it's going to be popped. You don't want to give Solidarity Badge. Even just bouncing with Amakusa can be reasonable, but there's a charm. I think we've seen 2 crews so far. Once we get to the bottom of the deck, we'll get to that Labor Right recursion loop, where Labor Rights can just bring back other Labor Rights and then whatever Ice Destruction you want, but...
Running on an HQ.
Forcing the Drafter.
There's the Drafter.
Now this, we might have to just go ahead and use either the Devil Charm or probably the Simul Chip. Now this ice, we probably should have known what it is, right? I think we're guessing we saw this off the top of the deck. So we're going to be trashing the Leech. And here we can get a Botulus down. It'll come in with 2 Virus counters, which is quite nice.
I'm curious why you would trash the Leech, because I feel like it could give you some... Because you still have the Turtle out. You could potentially use it to get stuff to Turtle range.
There's a chance that coldlava just has another in hand and has to do something, because you have to destroy something, right?
Chisel.
Oh, Chisel, just destroying that immediately.
Interesting.
Now, you have to do this on approach, if I'm not mistaken. Devil Charm says when you encounter the piece of ice, -6 strength. Turns out that's a really big number.
And Devil Charming to kill it.
Yep. This is like a reprint of Parasite from old. Doesn't see nearly as much play as Parasite does. And this draws. This means that there's agendas in hand if we're Spin Doctoring into an open HQ run. Now, we're not getting Leech counters here. If you trash, you're also not getting Amakusa counters. Notably, there's only 8.5 minutes left in the round. We're only on 2 points. This is a very strange game.
Yep.
4 cards in hand after the draw. Oh, almost flipping 2. You never want to do that. That's a Subliminal.
Subliminal, not what you want to see.
You can trash that for free?
Oh, trashing it? I'm not sure I would trash it for free. It's one, well, I guess no, because it triggers Mirrormorph, yeah.
But this is more so to go back to find the other cards.
That's fair.
So now we have 3 cards in there. You know there's agenda. That's a Warroid Tracker. A card with some really absurd numbers. 4 to trash for 4. Trace is going to trash your other cards on the table, but now open HQ. If you want to haul them in, I think we can have a click left here even to button up HQ. Managarm on the remote, Spin Doctor still on the table. coldlava doing his best just to put the pressure on, but Quesadilla's had the answers, had the ice, had the recursion.
There it is.
Just slow rolling this. We'll see it. It is just an AQS, so send a message I think is still in hand. Hermes.
Bouncing that.
I think that was just double advance. I don't think it was, yeah, I don't think he had the 4 credits here to be able to haul him in one more time. So coldlava finally, for the first time since 8 turns ago, has an open central server. Moshing might find the cards that we need here. I think we need a Leech counter. Amakusa can get big, and now it's a very difficult game. You have to play perfectly. You have to make sure an agenda never gets in a remote server, because at this point, any 3-2 can be just fast advance with enough money in the remote server if the Hollow Man lives.
That's the entire deck drawn.
Yeah.
We're gonna see. There's the other Leech. Yep. And now I assume just hitting R&D or hitting HQ.
And with the Spin Doctor draw, you know there's an agenda in there. There has to be an agenda in HQ.
Wait, okay, yeah, running HQ.
Going back. We have some counters here. There's a drafter. They should have another leech counter here if you want to trash it. So we are short one counter.
Trashing
Amaku,
him,
unfortunately, has a bit of an anti-synergy with Freedom's basic idea of trashing cards. You won't get the counter. Amaku's been at 0 for most of the game. There's a leech counter. You definitely want that.
Running again.
This is a 50-50. There's definitely send a message. Oh, Ikawa.
Oh, and that can't be stolen. Oh.
Wait, are there 2 agendas? Where'd the send a message go? Is it in archives?
Maybe it got shuffled back in?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, no, the Spin Doctor's sitting there. It might be in archives waiting to be shuffled back in.
I'm pretty sure I saw one.
You have to put the Ikawa project in the big server, but you don't have the money to res anything. If
Seems safer there than
but
anywhere else.
What tools does Cold Lava even have? I guess.
Just run it, click.
I guess, like...
Run it, click. 2 credits, right? Ablative maybe can be resed?
Yeah, or just, like, run HQ 3 times and run.
Yeah.
But no, because you need the...
You have to not trash. You might have enough counters on both the Yamakua and the combination of the leech.
You need the 2 credits and the...
Oh, yeah, the click and 2, yeah. That's going to be a problem. So you can maybe click through all but one of the Brawn. Also, I don't think there's imps in this deck. You can always trash the agenda. If you have an imp, I don't think you can do it with the Freedom text because Freedom cares, but it's an overinstall.
Overinstalling the Ikawa.
Yeah, understanding that Spin Doctor is going to keep it safe. Now, this could be the sickest bluff. Where you pretend you overinstall the Ikawa and you actually leave it in their mode server.
Imagine if that's a virus.
Yeah.
You go through the whole thing and then you run into a virus. Beautiful.
So now that Spin Doctor has not been contested. We know that there's a Vitruvius, I believe, in archives and an Ikawa. At this point, with only 5 minutes left, Quesadilla on 5 points up. coldlava can still do it. Can get a lot of pressure. Again, we've only seen, up to this point, might be 4 agendas in a 35-minute game. So I do think R&D can be quite dense. HQ might still have 1 agenda in it. You also have this weird line. You can restore to remove agendas from the game.
Huh.
Yes, because Restore says, install a card from Archives, remove any other copies of that same card from Archives from the game, so you actually can remove points from the game.
I remember hearing about that because someone was talking about a way to make a deck completely unwinnable.
Yep, it's cursed.
Completely, you could make a deck that no one could win the game until you both milled out.
It's a really strange interaction because res 1 card, technically you can fail to do that on an agenda, and it looks like we're going to go back for
Getting
that
back
last...
a pinhole, looking for the pinhole there.
Yes.
Because if you can pinhole the Hollow Man, you could potentially stop the Ikawa. But if that's a Vitruvius,
credits
well, no,
are
because
problem.
the credits.
Yes, you need to run to deny Subliminal, but credits are the big problem here. DJ Fenris also went back in, which means if you can get that down, it's a bit expensive on these 2 credits, but it means you can get those recursion loops. We'll see where coldlava puts the pressure on. Just getting Amaku counters. This is
pinhole, and then you have
counters?
2 virus counters to trash the Hollow Man.
Checking what the other card is. Now, this is interesting. The Spin Doctor could have been threatened there. You don't have to say what you're touching. You could have just trashed the Spin Doctor, and then Archives would have been stranded.
Yeah, but then you could. But can you get into Archives?
Eventually?
With 2 leech counters, potentially.
It doesn't have to be this turn.
But then you don't have a way to deal with the Hollow Man. And if the Hollow Man scores something out, you lose.
You might have time, right? It's a money thing, yeah. Once the money comes up, the Hollow Man has more teeth for sure. But we'll see the DJ Fenders eventually come down. But that Spin Doctor, I wonder if Quesadilla was scared there's going to be attacked, be trashed for no virus counters. We do know there's 5 points in the bin, and I think that might be the second, if not third, Spin Doctor taking up there. Our Bonchulus on 2 virus counters can be very important. Card in the remote server now on 4 credits. This is a big deal because Quesadilla can threaten any 3-2 in the remote.
Killing the Spin Doctor.
Going to be removed from game to shuffle cards into R&D. There's a lot of face-down cards there. Now, we know some of them are face-up. Very importantly, there's a Vitruvius in there. Even just Hermes is a big threat. If you want to push the gender remote server, if Hermes can just connect, coldlava can basically lock the game and just say, oh, if you want to put a card in the remote server, it's back in your hand, and maybe even run the hand. Managarm doing a lot of work into a Stargate. Checking the table. That's just a Charlotte. 0 trash cost if you do want to just get that card draw. Not that it matters on the Solidarity badge. That deck is all empty.
Wait, if he... Yeah, okay, you got the turtle count.
Yeah, Leech only on central servers. Amaku, as long as you hit that breach step, the access card step, and there is... Did you see an Echo in there?
I think I saw an Echo in there.
Yep,
there it is. Okay, that's a score right there. That's points.
All the clicks and credits left, and that's going to return the card to hand. Oh, that doesn't go to your scare area. I give that over to coldlava. He's been working so hard.
And Quesadilla has 1. Congratulations.
2 minutes left in the round. coldlava, if time gets called, the active player finishes their turn. Your opponent gets 1 more turn.
That was a Vitruvius.
That is a Vitruvius.
That is a Vitruvius. So if...
2 minutes. Looks like our judge are reminding the time again. Sometimes the time on the stream is slightly off because they can sometimes start a bit later, so they might have a bit extra time. 2-minute extension, I believe we're being told by production. Thank you. Okay, so they should have about 4 minutes left in the round. 2 minutes left in the round. Okay, thank you. Yeah, perfect. This is accurate. Thank you. coldlava having a laugh there, understanding the predicament here. Enough money for the Vitruvius archives. Looks like we're just going to go for the Stargate here. You still need to run the remote server, sorry, archives after if you want to get that bounce. Paying 2 clicks.
We're just doing a normal.
Oh, that's a virus.
It's a oh no!
That can't be a good hit. Purging the board state. Now, if you do trash that, if you don't trash that, you get an Amaku counter. Now that probably doesn't matter.
That means you can't trash the.
That might be game.
That's game. Yep, scoring out the Vitruvius for the win. There we go.
Oh, coldlava looking for it, but
so
ksodiya just getting that ice up. The recursion, juggling those final agendas on the table to make sure that things are staying well-oiled, but well played to both players. ksodiya taking it again, will be undefeated. Coldlava taking the first loss of the day again. That still means both these players are competing for day 2. I believe you can get 7 wins makes it to day 2, so still a lot more Netrunner today.
7 wins is what you need to make it to day 2. Obviously, top cut is a lot harder than that, but just making it to day 2 is a huge accomplishment.
For a lot of people, that's the goal. Just get to day 2. Even top half has some great prize support. But
that was a great game, though. I mean, I haven't gotten to see both of those decks in forever.
Yeah.
Like Freedom, as I said, a lot of it's on the tag me list, and then Mirrormorph. I love Mirrormorph. I have a custom alt art of Mirrormorph I printed out just for fun.
Oh, super cool. Yeah, it's always like one of the most fun puzzles. Also see Freedom. This is Freedom's last Worlds, which is kind of exciting. A lot of players make decisions like, hey, this is a card that I'm not going to be able to see next year. Once Dawn comes out, we lose FFG cards, so why not play that? But
Mirrormorph, even though in these sorts of decks it gets played for like these really complicated things, just as a new player, it's a great card to like see and go like, oh, I could do fun things with this, and it immediately starts your brain working in a fun way.
Oh, well played to both players. This is just round 4 again. We have one more round coming up, if I'm not mistaken. After that, we'll have a break, but don't go anywhere because we have more great Netrunner coming up. Thanks so much for watching. This is the World 2024 Championship in San Francisco. We'll be right back.